Welcome to this evening's Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Junction City Area Chamber of Commerce and Eagle Communications. Tonight you're going to have the opportunity to get to know the candidates better for the positions that are open on the Junction City Commission and Geary County USD 475 Board of Education. The state of Kansas has moved these local elections from springtime to the fall in the hopes of building interest in being involved in the election process. And that's why we are here this evening, to get you informed so that you can become more involved in this election process this year. We're going to begin this evening with the candidates for the Junction City Commission, followed by the candidates for Geary County USD 475 Board of Education. We'll have about a 10 or 15-minute break in between the two segments here this evening. If you have questions for this evening, there are forms outside at the entrances coming into the auditorium. Fill those out and make sure you put on the top of that whether you have a question for the City Commission or if you have a question for the Board of Education candidates. Here's how it's going to run here this evening. The candidates will be allowed up to 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we will move to the questions. We have formulated some questions, but if you have a question for all the candidates, you can write those down and bring them to us to the front to present to the candidates. And like I said, Caitlin will be taking those. We will not accept questions that address only a single candidate. We want to keep this as a learning experience so that you can make wise choices on November 7th. Each candidate will then be given up to 2 minutes to answer questions, and also will have the possibility of a 1-minute rebuttal option, and then each candidate will be given up to 2 minutes for a closing statement this evening. This first segment will be up to an hour in length, and then we'll follow that up with a 15-minute break to reset the stage, and then we will bring in the second group of candidates for a 1-hour segment. So I think we are ready to go, and we will start with our candidates for Junction City Commission. There are 6 candidates for 3 positions that are available in the election this year, and we will start with opening statements, again up to 2 minutes, and we will start that with Nicholas Albritton. Nicholas?
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, Junction City. So glad to see everyone that's out here today. So glad for the ones that's listening. So glad everybody's participating in this learning process with us all and to intensely look at us as the candidates. First, I just want to start by giving a sincere thank you to the outgoing city commissioners. I believe I see 2 of them here. We have Jim Sands, the outgoing, Mick McAllister, and Mike Ryan. And this series of this line of work, you don't get too many thank you. So I just want to start by just giving them a good thank you from Junction City on behalf of Nicholas Albert and my campaign. I'm pretty sure everybody on this table. So thank you. I'm Nicholas Albert. I'm running to become your next city commissioner. Junction City has many notable traits that resonate within our citizens: honesty, trustworthy, and hardworking. Junction City is a place that equality is a priority, and all citizens have the same opportunity to achieve the American dream. This campaign is about making sure Junction City has good quality jobs, that our kids get access to a quality education, and that our veterans are well taken care of. This campaign is about unifying people of all walks of life toward a common purpose, to change things for the better, and inspire this generation and the next to do great things. When ordinary people come together, they can do extraordinary things. I am running to become your next city commissioner because I believe Junction City's best days are ahead. I want to ensure we leave Junction City in a thriving state for the next generation. I want Junction City to grow and thrive. A vote for Nick is a vote to move Junction City forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Heinrich Biggs.
Yeah, my name is Heinrich Biggs. I grew up in Junction City. I graduated in 1973 from Junction City High School. I joined the Marine Corps and got out in 77, came back, went to Voltech, then graduated Voltech, then worked, I got a job at Fort Riley. I was a cook out there for 33 years, and this is my home. I can remember Junction City when it was downtown was full of business, and we had all these little grocery stores in town. I like to see Junction City to have business in town and grow again. The city had good services, and you know, this is my home, and I don't know nowhere else. So I wanted to represent the people. I will listen and talk to everybody who want to listen, who want to talk to me. I got nowhere to go. I'm retired, so I got all the time to spend with you. Thank you for listening to me.
Tim Brown.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Chamber for putting this forum on tonight. Just tell you, for you that don't know me, you people that don't know me, my name is Tim Brown. I'm a candidate for City Commission. I'm a 39-year resident of Junction City. I've been married to my wife, Sherilyn, for 23 years, and I have 4 children, Tammy, Jessica, Justin, and John. I'm a grandfather to 9 grandchildren. I am a U.S. Army veteran. I was honorably discharged in 1978 from Fort Riley, Kansas, which is why I ended up here in Kansas in 1976 when I was transferred here from Korea. I retired from the Junction City Police Department as the Chief of Police in 2016 after serving for over 37.5 years. I worked my way up on the ranks. I started in 1978, like I said, and worked my way up as a patrol officer, shift investigator, sergeant, lieutenant, detective captain, and then chief of police, which I was appointed to as in 2010. I have an associate's degree in criminal justice from Barton Community College, and some of the service awards that I've been most proud of are the Kansas JC's Outstanding Young Public Protector in 85 and 86. In 1994, the Junction City Police Officers Association Officer of the Year. And my most prestigious, I believe, is the 2014 State Fraternal Order of Police Administrator Award. Some community involvement that I've been involved all my life are a former member of the Junction City Housing Authority Board, and I'm a former member of the Corrections Advisory Board for the 8th Judicial District. If elected as your city commissioner, I hope to bring a fresh perspective to the Junction City Commission. I have almost 7 years of experience preparing and overseeing the budget of the police department, which had an annual budget over $5 million. I supervise close to 70 employees within the police department, and it's my goal to bring a common sense approach to the position with a focus on fiscal responsibility, quality of life issues that affect the community and its citizens, and support of our public safety first responders. I will help Junction City to continue to move in a positive direction and would very much appreciate your support on November 7th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Michael Gray?
Yeah, I'm really pleased to be here, considering that I'm kind of an outsider. I came over here in to Junction City in 2006 as part of Big Red One's transition from Germany to Kansas, and I decided to stay here. I am obviously a former Big Red One soldier. I served 26 years in the military, 23 of those were active. I have a master's in administration, so I really don't have any political knowledge, but I do know how to administer, and that's pretty much what I did in the military as well, a lot of that. I am the former president of the Junction City Arts Council. You may have seen some of the things that we put on. I don't need to advertise right now for them, but you should look it up online. Good group. I'm also a member of the 2017 Crossroads of Leadership class, which is what got me involved in wanting to do this here. I had no political aspirations whatsoever until I went to the Crossroads of Leadership, and they're like, hey, why don't you do something, you know, that you feel is of civic importance? And I feel that this is of civic importance. I'm married. My wife is Bettina Gray. I kind of imported her from Germany, along with our kids. My platform for this is all about transparency and communication. A lot of things that are going on in the city, they're on rails. A lot of things can't be changed, and some things just need to be communicated properly, and that's going to be one of my projects. I think everybody that runs in the city council has certain things they have to do, like the mayor likes to go out and clean up the town. That seems to be her passion. My passion is trying to get information out. I have a blog that I run right now where I answer questions from people, you know, as far as my positions on a lot of things. So as far as what I'm doing here, I believe that leadership and running the city is a servant thing. I believe in servant leadership. So, and that's where I'm going to be for the rest of it. If I do get elected, I'm not elected as a position of power. elected in a position of servitude, and that's how I'll take it.
Okay, Bob Henderson.
I'm Bob Henderson. That's the one that everybody knows, Bob. I'm a local Junction City resident. I have both lived and worked in Junction City for over 30 years. I have adopted this town, or perhaps this town adopted me. My wife and I have raised 2 sons, both fully educated through USD 475. We have invested in and have faith in the future of Junction City. We own and operate 2 businesses, a travel agency and a coffee shop, and have 3 buildings in the downtown historic district. In short, I fell in love with this city, its history, its respect for the military, its beautiful rainbow of international diversity. It is now and always will be my hometown. I was on the Board of Education for 12 years. When I began my tenure there was many bright and eager first graders in our elementary school. I can proudly say that 12 years later, I saw the job through and gave them their graduation. Also, while on the board, I became the member of the National Association of Federally Impacted Schools in Washington, D.C. Through our work with this organization, USD 475 received millions of dollars in federal impact aid. Now let me speak from my heart. There's a saying in the coffee shop that goes, "Everybody knows Bob." That comes from the fact that I consider almost all people my friends, certainly the elderly, the retirees on fixed income, the disabled, those out of work, and our young teenagers. I have a concern for the public. My door and phone will be open, but remember, I'm a person that does not favor opinions over facts. I want facts, I want to know the details. As a team player on the commission, I feel our priorities should be such things as property tax, creeping up water bills, which I have to say the city, and our streets, which the city has been working on with excellent results. I understand that the commission's first responsibility is to guide and oversee the city manager. I will not directly or indirectly interfere with any city department without the direction of the commission and the city manager.
Okay, Jeff Underhill.
Good evening. Thanks everybody for being out here. I'm Jeff Underhill, and I want to start out by telling you a little bit of my background and why I'm running for a seat on the commission. As a lifelong resident, I'm fortunate to call Junction City my hometown. I attended Emmanuel Lutheran and Sheridan Elementaries, Junction City Middle School, and am a proud graduate of Junction City High School. I'm employed by Central National Bank here in town as an insurance agent. My wife Rhonda and I have chosen to keep Junction as our hometown and raise our sons here. It's safe to say that I bleed blue. Currently, I serve on the Metropolitan Planning Commission, the Junction City Housing Authority, Geared Up Dads, and am a founding member of the Junction City Brigade baseball team, just to name a few. My continued involvement in Junction City is a deep-rooted passion. My roles on these boards have acquainted me with how the city operates and also given me opportunities to listen and interact with the great community members here in town. As many of you are aware, this is an important election year for Junction City. I firmly believe that it's imperative as a community that we forge on and start focusing more on the bright future ahead of us. As a Junction City Commissioner, I'll bring a fresh, vigorous, open-minded, rational approach to the commission. I'll stand up and I will be heard, and I will contest for what is right. Remember, we are in this together. Expressing my beliefs and opinions has never been an issue for me. I'm willing and not afraid to ask questions and do my research. I'll continue to be easily accessible and offer a listening ear to fellow community members. As a Junction City Commissioner, I will continue to strive to make Junction City the best that it can be. You'll hear my stance on issues and concerns as questions arrive this evening. I am committed to being honest and transparent in my answers for you in order to gain a sense of the type of commissioner that I'll be. Thank you all for being here on this important night, and thank you for your continued support.
All right, if you've all met the candidates. If you have questions and just thought of those now, our chamber staff members are here. Amy is right over here in the pink outfit, and she can take your questions if you have any questions. We will start with the first question, and we'll start with Heinrich Biggs. And that question is, the city is making progress on debt reduction, but it will still be several years yet before the large amount owed can be repaid. Do you have any suggestions on that process or speeding up that process? And we'll start with Heinrich, and again, you have 2 minutes to answer.
I got no idea. The debt is pretty high. They bought a lot of land and trying to develop it. I think we just got to work through it. the next 20 years to get out of it.
Okay. Tim?
Well, I think one of the first things that we're going to have to do is in 2020, I believe there's going to have to be an election to reapprove that 1 cent sales tax that was passed, I think, in 2011 to pay off debt. I think that's almost a must because of the, if not, people in the city are going to be looking at probably a 15 to 17 mil increase if that 1 cent sales tax is not approved. That's one of the reasons when people wonder why our sales tax is in the higher nines, it's because of that 1 cent debt service that was packed, and if many of you aren't aware of it, it was to pay down the debt. Otherwise, our mill levy would have gone way up. I think the other thing, obviously, is trying to move forward some economic development. I think that we've got a very, very qualified economic development director in Mickey Dean. I read with interest her 515 reports that she gives to Mr. Dinkle every Friday, or at least once a month, I think, as to what's going on in economic development. And I think that's very, very important. I think making ourselves attractive, i.e. through maybe the possibility of building a new school here, I think that's very important. We must be attractive to the military, be attractive to industry and everything to come into Junction City, and building this new school would be one very important way to do that. But there's so many, the sales tax is stagnant somewhat. I think it was even down this month according to some of what Shirley put out. But I think it's a combination of all these things that's going to have to work on that. But I think the biggest thing is going to have to be the approval of that 1 cent sales tax in 2020 to move forward with paying that debt down. There's a plan in progress. By 2024, it'll be paid down quite a ways, but I don't think it'll all be paid down until 2032. So I think that people need to keep that in mind, that that's coming down the road, and unless you want your mill increase to go up, it's very important that we approve that. Thank you.
Michael?
I have to agree with pretty much everything. The 2024-2031 timetable is dead on. I was poring over the financial, the budget for 2017 and 2018 today. I lost a little hair going through that one, but it was quite the read. And that 1% sales tax is super important. I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that's going to be facing us at the end of 2020, because apparently it's presently getting us about $3.7 million generated, and if we don't do it, our property taxes will increase by more than 20 mils, and so that is a big thing. A lot of the financial issues, we have to bring some new industries in. I spoke with Mickey Dean. We're in a very advantageous position right here in Junction City. We're in this middle of the country. Within 550 and 600 miles, we could be a spoken hub network for distribution centers, industry, all of that. We have to market it. And after speaking with her, I feel energized. She seems very excited about what she does. She has a good group. And so I'm excited about the prospects for the future there. But we have to convince people that this is where they want to go. And in order to do that, there's a few things we're going to have to do. We need quality of life programs. We need to make sure that when we attract these people with all this knowledge and these skills, that they're going to have something for their families as well to do here. So that means we gotta start working on things that will make us even more attractive, and we're doing it. We're doing our city proud with the cleanups and all the extra things that we're doing. One of the other things, real quick before I have to go, I'd like to work on our ISO rating, our Insurance Service Office Public Protection Classification. I spoke with some members of the fire department on that one, and apparently we have an opportunity to maybe bring it up even higher than where Manhattan is, which would make us more viable and attractive to, and I gotta stop, Manhattan.
All right, Bob?
All right, I'm afraid I'm going to sound much like Mike and Tim, and I really hope Mickey was in this audience. If she is, she could raise her hand, because I'm going to sing her praise also. Our biggest problem is we got a stagnant economy, okay? We've got to do something to kick that. And again, going back to Mickey, she is a professional. She's got the ability to attract new retail business and industry. The city, the county, the chamber, the local developers all have to get behind her and support her. We've done this before. Names such as Jack Lacey and Eldon Hoyle come to mind. We can do it again. We need to sit down and with the county and get something done about the property tax. That's the one complaint I'm hearing on the street more than anything else, or maybe the bad coffee. The other thing is, we're also going to have to adopt to the digital revolution. The internet's going to bring sweeping changes to retail, to our businesses, and most likely to our government. We need to be able to be ready for that.
Jeff?
Addressing the debt specifically, currently the current and past city commissioners have put in a plan to throw a lot of money at our debt services right now. There are some larger bonds set to expire in the very near future that will free up some of that money and allow us to use it on other things that we hear complaints about, such as roads and that sort of thing. There's also some interest-only bonds that are eligible for refinance here in the next few years as well that will also free up some of that money being put towards debt services. And so I think we are on the right path, and there's a plan in place in order to pay off the debt. It's making sure that we are responsible with the rest of the money and the money that's not going towards that right now. I echo these guys in the sense that the economy and growth will definitely help. I've been a firm believer in getting the land bank lots full. If there's more people in town paying taxes, then obviously that's going to lift the burden from the rest of us. So the main point that I'm trying to make is that the bonds are there and they have to be paid. There's a plan to pay them, so let's focus on how we can continue to move forward.
Okay. Nicholas?
Yes, I believe the debt reduction and getting our sales tax down is a very, very important thing, and we'll work hard each and every day to achieve that goal. But my main thing is economic growth, and I believe that's one of the things that will drive more money here, more people here, and also that can help us with our debt reduction and our budget. One of the things that I'm really interested in is something that I also do myself, is we're interested in the tech industry. So in order to get those, we need to get more jobs here so we can attract more tech industry jobs specifically. You say, how can we do that? We ensure that our young people are graduating with higher rate school, higher rate education. So in order they can turn around and try to get some kind of tech industry. So we don't just want jobs here, we want more good paying jobs. So people can infiltrate. Also with Fort Riley being right on our doorstep, we need to seize the opportunity with that. A lot of people are retiring or getting out of the military. Very important to me as well. I'm a member of the Kansas Air National Guard myself, so we can understand what they're going through when they get here. So hey, let's get out here. We got good jobs here. We can get tech programs here. What specifically I sat down previously and talked with Mickey shortly, but my goal is to maybe try to get some kind of way we can get MATC to here, have a little some kind of schooling here as well, where we can attract those tech jobs. So we can say, hey, we can attract those jobs and say, hey, we have these kids here. We have the kids here. We have the people here that can ensure those jobs and work free. So, like I said, economic growth is one main on my list in order to ensure we get our debt down and get our budget squared away.
Okay. We have the opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal. If anyone wants to take that opportunity, let us know, and we will give you that opportunity. We'll give all the opportunity if you would like to. If not, we will move on to our next question. And taxes is also in this question has to do with taxes and the ability to reduce taxes when, if that's a possibility, and how. And it was put in the vein of those in the military that are here that have houses and are concerned about taxes and being able to sell houses after their tour is done here. So generally the question has to do with taxes and reducing taxes. So we will start with Tim on that and give you an opportunity again to answer that question.
Thank you, Mark. I don't know if many of you remember or not, but I think it hasn't been that many years back that I think the mill levy in Junction City was somewhere in the mid to low 50s. And right now, I believe, is at 48.089, I believe, is the approved mill levy, if I'm not mistaken. That's amazing, based on what was going on back in 2010 when we were on the verge of a bankruptcy. We were one of the few communities in the state of Kansas that was on the verge of bankruptcy. When Jerry Vernon first started in February of 2010, and Cheryl came in June of 2010, in that short period of time, the city was in financial trouble very badly, and we were on the verge of bankruptcy. Through their hard work and with the commission on board, they were able to get us back into financial stability where we're at today. Now, many people feel that the stagnant economy that we have is bad, which it is, but compared to where we were back in 2010, we've come a long way. There's a plan to get this debt down. I understand the part about the sales tax still being at one of the highest there is in the area, but it's very important to keep our services as they are, and I think at this point in time, reducing our mill levy would be a big mistake. I think this year the commission passed a 0 mill increase, which is to their credit, so I'm very happy and pleased with that, as most of you should be. I think it's very important that we try to continue along those lines and try to cut those costs so we can keep that 0 mill levy increase. But the mill levy over the last 5 to 10 years has been decreased, so everyone should be very proud of that. And again, that 1 cent renewal in 2020 will be pivotal as to our progress in debt reduction. So that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Michael?
Well, I really don't have much to add to that. I'm not as well versed in tax law as maybe I should be. That being said, I have looked over our the fiscal recovery plan. I've looked over the budgets, and the one thing is very clear to me. We are on rails, and we need to follow this path that we've been set upon. And if we can find something better in the interim, that's fine. But we have a very specific timeline that we're following. Things are getting gradually better, believe it or not. It seems like every time I go to a new commission meeting or I talk to someone else in the seats of power here in the city, I'm hearing good news about how things are getting alleviated slowly but surely. I can't do anything about the current taxes, and I completely agree with Mr. Brown about that 1% sales tax needing to stay there. So unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, so I have nothing to add to that.
Okay. Bob?
The 1% sales tax, the way it'll increase, or not the sales tax will increase, but the way the city will benefit from that is if we had more retail business in town. If we had a shopping center, that type of thing. Then, on the other hand, the property tax. I hear complaints all the time that we got vacant buildings downtown. We have vacant buildings downtown because the property tax is so high, the rent you charge, the tenants can't afford. So we have to do something about lowering the property tax.
Okay. Jeff?
Just about all of us complain about paying taxes. As a homeowner and a member of the community, we all have 3 taxing entities: the city, the school board, and the county. The city and the school board have actually lowered their mill levies in recent years. And so the city continues to move forward with less, and I think the key to keeping the mill levy low is the communication between the 3 taxing entities to make sure that we are all doing what's best for the community, not just what's best for the city, the county, or the school board specifically. And so when we get our tax statement, see that it went up, we really have to look at it and see exactly what caused it to go up, because the first response is we'll blame the city because I live in Junction City, and that's not necessarily always the case. And so communication between the 3 taxing entities as to what we can best do for the citizens is the key to lowering the mill levy or continuing to move forward with what we have.
Okay. Nicholas?
I think we kind of go along with what all the other candidates have said here. Nobody wants to see their taxes go up. But as with everything is going the way our budget's going, we're kind of on a track to try to get our debt down. But just kind of go back to what I just said, as far as economic growth will help a lot of our problems. So getting the people here, getting the jobs here, keeping everybody here, and that's what, not to prolong this, but that's where I'll stand on all this.
Heinrich?
Okay. I agree we need to lower our taxes because I'm retired. I'm on a fixed budget. It's hard to me, and getting hard for me to pay my taxes on my little house in Westwood. I think the way to bring business in town is lower taxes and sales tax, people will come to Junction City and buy or put business in town. I grew up there, I remember all these buildings were full of businesses, as downtown was. And I walk every morning and I see all the empty buildings. The old gas station been empty since they moved out. And see all the empty buildings, I like to see them filled. And I wish somebody got the answer. I will listen and try to do that way if they got answers, how to do it. Thank you.
All right, let's go to another question from our audience here this evening. And this question, we will start with Michael. We'll have the first opportunity of this. This has to do with revitalizing neighborhoods. The question is, how can we revitalize neighborhoods north of 6th Street and also downtown? So, Michael, we'll start with you.
Well, the city's not going to be able to fund a lot of that stuff, but we're already got a lot of programs in place. We have a lot of great organizations in place as well. I go to the community coalitions meetings. They have those once a month down at the Church of the Nazarene, where a lot of organizations get together and they talk about the things that they're doing in town. And we have people that want to do things in the city to create a more vibrant community. And I think that we need to tap into some of those resources, and we need to get the spirit of cooperation going between them. I've also called the Habitat for Humanity, because I was interested in maybe utilizing some of the land bank lots and trying to get some public service going there. And when I talk to the folks here that run that, they're like, oh, we don't have the infrastructure in place, and we haven't had it in place for like 3 years or something. And that kind of shocked me. And I've had people from the Workforce Center. I want to call it Workforce Center, but it's one of those places where they train the youths to do stuff. They get volunteer hours. I want to get people that are in these organizations involved in helping to revitalize and refresh areas of town. Now, myself, I've done a lot of volunteer work. Along with the 2016 Crossroads of Leadership class, we did a mural up on the side of the gun shop down there on 6th and Washington. And I took it upon myself to start another mural down at Grant Avenue, where I live. And so, you know, I think it's going to take an effort on the part of different community groups to get together. We cannot count on the city to be able to pay for a lot of revitalization programs. We have to do it. And that means we have to get organized, and we have to get excited about it, and we have to have a plan, and we have to make it happen. And so that's how I see it.
Okay, Bob?
One of the things we would have to do if we're looking at, you said north of 6th Street, is we continue the work on the streets, okay? The streets that have been repaired, 5th Street, 8th Street, they're very, very good roads. And doing that will improve those neighborhoods. We need to keep moving that on up. We need to have people be proud of their neighborhoods. We need to, just the demand for the houses is not there. I'm a realtor, I know what we're doing in those areas, and it is hard to sell in that area. On the other hand, if they had a beautiful street, that would be a different story. But somehow, that's what we're going to have to do. Grant Avenue has gotten better, you know, it'll improve also as time goes by. And everything I have downtown is north of 6th Street, and it's doing quite well.
Jeff?
I believe that a lot of it is pride in ownership. The business owners who have buildings that are full downtown, they take the time, they're out front sweeping, they are making sure that their businesses are presentable, and they're getting customers that way. The people who have a less than desirable storefront or an empty building that's falling in, they don't seem to understand why they can't get a good renter in there, or why they look someplace else, and it goes back to the pride in ownership. Same thing with the communities. The mayor is currently doing her garbage pickup in little neighborhoods all over the city, and as those pickups steam, they're now being operated and started by the people in those neighborhoods, not just her. And so it's continuing to grow, and the pride in ownership and sense of community is what's going to improve those neighborhoods and the downtown area.
Nicholas?
Revitalizing downtown is a very, very big priority. I feel like it goes towards kind of what a lot of us have said, and I appreciate the efforts of our mayor currently. the stuff she's doing, the cleanups. I've attended one of them, and it awesome success. But I believe that's where it kind of goes down to as far as servant leader. Servant leader, that's an actual really good definition of it. And as far as myself as being, if I'm fortunate to be elected as your city commissioner, you'll see efforts on my part to clean up, and as far as to go by and see to it that these properties are cleaned up and look presentable. The main reason why revitalization, is a main priority is as soldiers and different people come through town, what's their first perception of Junction City? Is it something that's dirty, or is it something, hey, this is beautiful? So this is beautiful. This is a place where I want to live and raise my kids. So that's the reason why it's so important that we revitalize and keep everything nice, clean, encourage those business owners to say, hey, you know, keep your stuff looking straight, stand up, hey, come out here, and as far as those. The next thing is that as revitalization goes into, as far as I mentioned before, as economic growth. It's very important, and we've got to see those people come. We've got to stay on track here in order to see more economic growth.
Okay. Heinrich?
Okay, I agree with what they all said. I did been on a few the mayor's cleanup deals up in Westwood and down Grand Avenue and stuff. I walk every day and I see all the trash and stuff on the streets. And you know, the town needs to be in business and needs to be filled up. You know, water's been gone out of his building since he moved down to 6th Street, and all the gas stations closed. I like to see them filled, and I don't know how you do it, but the town do need to be cleaned up a lot. I see a lot of it getting cleaned up.
Okay. Tim?
One of the best revitalizing projects that Junction City has ever encountered would have been the self-help housing project that went on here probably between 2005 and 2015. That program went away after, I believe, our population hit a certain thing, and the commission at that particular time chose to do away with it. I don't know if many of you remember that or not, but they built approximately 83 houses somewhere in that ballpark area, mostly on the north side of Junction City. They were in very high crime areas. 700 block of West 13th Street, 15th and Monroe, which at one time I wouldn't have gone down there without backup because they were open air drug markets, so on and so forth. In those neighborhoods now, once that self-help housing came in there, really had an opportunity to revitalize those neighborhoods and make them into a whole different environment. I think that if we could come up with some kind of a way to get involved in that again, whether it be maybe with Habitat for Humanity, which Mike mentioned, or some other entity through federal grants to be able to get in and get these neighborhoods to start that project for low-income families to be able to buy homes and purchase and own homes would be wonderful. I'm not sure whether that's possible or not, but that's sure definitely something we need to look into. I think the second thing that would be important is that we need to hit our code enforcement probably harder. I think that at one time, several years ago, the police department gave the code enforcement to the code enforcement section as opposed to doing it out of the police department. I think that we really need to refocus our abilities in that area to clean up these neighborhoods, whether we have to really, and I know some people don't want to hear it, prosecute people in court because of repeated violations. That's going to be necessary. But those two things, maybe coming up with a habitat and in code enforcement, would be two of the things I would like to really see hit on to revitalize these neighborhoods. Thank you.
All right. The next question goes maybe outside the city limits just a little bit, but the question from the audience is, Junction City is a charter member of the Flint Hills Regional Council, and your thoughts on endeavors to continue support of the council and regional collaboration. And we will start with Bob on this question. Bob?
I'll probably pass on that question because I know very little about the Flint Hill Regional Council.
Okay. Jeff?
I believe that our regional partnerships and those things are important. If Junction City is thriving, the other communities in that, Manhattan, Wamego, I believe Clay Center's in that as well, they will thrive as well. And likewise, if they are thriving, we're going to thrive. And so the the regionalism and the regional partnership and those agreements that they haven't quite gotten in place, those are important just to help all of the communities grow. If the city of Junction City is approached by a business that has very specific needs that we can't meet, we definitely benefit if it goes into, moves into a partner city, so, as well as if Junction City has buildings that are available and sites that are available that other communities can't facilitate, then that's going to reciprocate. And so the regional partnerships, I think, are beneficial for Junction City and the surrounding communities.
Okay. Nicholas?
I believe the regional partnerships would be a good thing. I believe we all could benefit from communication of all our areas around us, because as Jeff just said, if they thrive, we all thrive. We thrive, they thrive. I believe it's also, just take it a step further, good to have communication with other communities as far as Riley County and Saline County and different cities around us, that also we can benefit and talk and be communicative, because that's the main thing, is we all just need to come together. We can all help each other in order to achieve more economic growth.
That's something I need to learn about. Unlike Bob, I don't know nothing about the Flint Hills. I hear about it, I know they go to the meetings, but I don't know nothing about it. So I need to learn what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. Tim?
Recently, myself and Jeff Underhill had an opportunity to go with an interregional visit to Ames, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska, along with our partners from Manhattan, Wamego, in that area, to look at economic development. And one of the gentlemen along was Gary Stith, who's the director of the Flint Hills Regional Center. I think our cooperation with them, number one of those for economic development is partnerships. You have to cultivate those partnerships with our neighbors to the east and to the west to make sure that we are doing what we can in a cooperative effort to try to do what's best for all. And there's dollars that are available through those kind of entities that can come into our city. So I think it's very important that we continue to participate in the Flint Hills Regional Council, and I think it's almost a no-brainer to understand that we need to do that. Thank you.
Okay. Michael?
Well, you stole my term. I was going to say it's a no-brainer for me, because it is. Cooperation with other entities is supremely important. And I don't know as much about the Flint Hills Regional Council as I could. I do know that during the Crossroads of Leadership it was mentioned a lot. And cooperation with other people, it allows us to network, foment these bonds so that we can create a stronger area. If the region prospers, then we're going to prosper. I think that it will be important, however, that the communication, the lines of communication are set, and that we have someone that is involved in this, whether it's one person or a group of people, who can keep oversight to make sure that everything remains fair. I just don't want to see any unfair advantages going one way or the other. I'd like to be able to share and think that everybody's doing the right thing. But we do have to keep an eyeball on that so that one group doesn't profit over the other. But yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Okay, our next question has to do with economic diversity and recognizing that Fort Riley is important to the local economy. What can we do here locally to diversify the economy, such as bringing in new retail, new industry, and things like that? And we will start with Jeff on this.
The economic development piece is, I think all of us believe that that's a very strong need in our community to get more businesses, get more retail opportunities here in our community. And it starts with the marketing. I think we have Mickey Dean, the Economic Development Coordinator, is in place now, and I believe that she is one of our best assets in the community right now as far as marketing Junction City. It also goes to how we market ourselves and speak about our community, as well as Junction needs to focus on the fact that we are at the intersection of 77 and I-70, which is a huge, huge asset for us. In addition to that, we've talked for years about INBAF coming to Manhattan and how we need to be a feeder recruit feeder companies for that. Well, for years, we've had Fort Riley next to us, which operates like a city in itself, and they need supplies and feeder companies as well. And so it's about marketing Junction City and what we have and what we can do for some of those bigger industries and get those companies here in our area.
Okay, Nicholas, you're up next.
Having Fort Riley at our doorstep is one of the best things that I believe Junction City could benefit from, and we have, and we will continue to. I'm just a kind of a side note here. I'm disheartened when I hear complaints about Fort Riley being there. Some people come to be kind of disheartened and say kind of complaints regarding that issue. It disheartened me. I said we're so fortunate to have Fort Riley right there. As far as economic growth and getting more business here, kind of resonate with, as Jeff just said, as far as being marketable, being out there, talking to these companies, trying to ensure we have the infrastructure and have the people here for them to come here. As far as other companies in Bath and other companies that I believe want to come here, but we have to sell ourselves. We have to get out there. We have to, as far as everybody says, as far as Mickey, she's done a great job, and I feel like she will continue to do a good job. But as far as Junction City, we've got to be out there as far as revitalizing, as we've already talked, make sure our properties are good, making sure we look good. So when these companies come here, they say, hey, you know what, I do want to build here. I do want to be here. And like going back also what I said about the tech jobs, as far as we can attract more tech industry jobs here, say, hey, we have the education, we have the kids here, we have the people here that can run your machines, can operate at this level. We're here, and I believe that is what we can drive economic growth.
Okay. Heinrich?
I think we got the business, the places downtown for new businesses to come. There's a lot of empty business. I try to bring Austin here, and you know, we need business. I agree with you. We need more grocery stores. We need restaurants, and Fort Riley is a thing. I worked there for 33 years, and I see Fort Riley come and gone during, I think, Vietnam leave, come back, go to Reforger. Yes, Fort Riley is an asset, and we do got the buildings, and we do got the places for the new business. Thank you.
Tim?
Obviously, Fort Riley is a very important to Junction City and has been for many, many years. But in economic development, like I said, I do believe that Mickey Dean is our shining star when it comes to that. I've been very impressed with the job that she's been doing. I do believe that there's a way that if there's any way we could possibly incorporate the land bank into somehow making it more attractive for builders to build new houses over here. I've always been somewhat reluctant to think that we were going to get much from NBATH over in Manhattan, but I also think that this new school possibility of building that could change the dynamics there. And when people go to Manhattan, they see the high school there, and we have a new $105 million or thereabouts high school over here that we may be able to draw some of those folks that are going to be in NBATH. There's going to be thousands of people by 2021 or whatever it is, when that's going to be open, moving into our area. A new school would make that very attractive to those folks, along with any other businesses when they want to come to this town. And I know I said earlier about how much I do support that, but it is true that things like that are going to make attractive to the military, attractive to businesses and industry, and it's very important that those kind of things that we have to make our city look better and make the quality of life better, make our life better. So that's what I have to say on that. Thank you.
Michael?
I actually sat down with Mickey Dean yesterday, I think it was, and she educated me quite a bit on site selection. She gave me some stuff to look at, and she's got some very exciting things going on. And she echoed some things that I'd already thought, but evidently allow me to tell you: immediate access to Interstate 70, main east-west route, rail access through Union Pacific Railroad. We've got the research park, and of course our location in the exact center of USA provides us excellent coverage. Our position here is invaluable. We are positioned uniquely to be a spoken hub, just like I said at the very beginning of this when we started. And I think Mickey Dean's on the right track, and we have to market that. We have to push and let people know. I'm also very excited about tech jobs. I would love to see energy concerns come here. There's a few things that people can't live without. Toilet paper is one of them. Another thing is electricity. You know, these sort of things you take for granted because they're mundane. But I think that if we get some more, like, it would be great if someone like Elon Musk would come down here and bring a power supply plant, start making those energy grid walls for the, that he's developing. You know, there's these new technologies that are emerging. And I had a conversation with a fellow the other day who said, well, Kansas can't support it. I don't want to hear that stuff. I'm not worried about what Kansas, you know, the limitations. I want to look at the future and say, you know, how are we preparing ourselves for all these future industries? These future industries are gonna come. They're gonna be here. We need to be ready for it, and we need to be on the cusp, especially on technology. And so we have a perfect position, a perfect opportunity. We just have to market it, and I really believe that Mickey Dean is on the right track. And I'm excited to be involved in it. If this doesn't pan out, I think I want to get involved in helping get some businesses in here, regardless.
Bob?
If anyone wants to question the importance of Fort Riley, they can come on downtown with me any morning around 6 o'clock when all the soldiers are going up the hill, and then come on back around 5 o'clock or so when they're off, and the line of traffic just completely floods downtown, and you can almost see all the way back up the hill. And out of those soldiers, when I get them in the coffee shop, one of the first things they ask for is, where can I find a loft downtown? These are kids from Chicago, from San Francisco, other cities where they do have lofts downtown all the time. Every one of our buildings downtown have empty space above them. They could be turned into beautiful apartments. In fact, if you go up into some of the older buildings down there, the graffiti on the wall is from World War II. And that's what it was used for then, and that's what we should start doing it again. We should build another downtown community, and those soldiers would be a great place to start.
Okay, we're going to get one more question, and then we'll go to closing comments. So we will start with Nicholas here, I believe, with this final question, and it has to do with the land bank lots in the community, and what measures would you like to take to try and fill up those vacant land bank lots in the community? And we'll start with Nicholas.
As for regarding the land bank, going back to the owners, just starting with the owners of the land bank, if what I would encourage and try to get my point across as far as making sure if you do have an empty lot, take care of it. You know, as far as we're talking about revitalizing, if you do have, if there are still owners that are still present, still take care of it. Please don't just let it overgrow and just get out of hand, because people come here, they see those, and it just puts a bad mark on it. As far as getting people here or in order to have those land banks sold, what have you, we may need to incorporate some as far as discounts, as far as, hey, this has been sitting here empty, we need to get something here. As far as we just need to get something in there. But like I said, in order to keep it there, as far as getting it clear, keeping it clean, I believe that goes a long way as far as making Junction City attractive.
Heinrich?
I know the land bank, I go to the meetings, city meetings, and they have the meetings. They had a problem filling the lots. They tried to market it, tried different ideas. They work hard trying to figure out how to sell it. I understand, to me, I think you just give them away, and somebody can build a house there, at least you get your what do you call it, the taxes, the specials back off it. But I don't think you can give the lots away if somebody builds. You have $40,000 before you can start a house there. So it is a problem, and I wish I know how to answer it.
I know when we did the KJCK forum here several months ago, the question came in from a contractor who called on the line about what we thought about giving them away for free. And at that particular time, I said that, well, I was open to that idea, and I think Jeff and were on that day with and Nick both said the same thing, that that's a real possibility. I know they're going for around $5,000 a piece right now, but I would be open for that discussion to give them away if, when they gave them to the contractors, that they have a certain period of time to put something on there, because then, of course, we'd get property taxes back on that would be going into our city coffers. So it would be very important that we have to come up with some innovative ideas. I know that our commission now has been knocking their heads on the wall trying to figure out how to move these things, but maybe that's something we might have to look at down the road. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to close my mind to anything, but I think we have to get these land bank lots and have to move them some way, and the best way I think maybe possibly is to have to give them away. I'm not sure. Of course, I would only be one of 5 votes if I was a commissioner, but that is one thing that we probably need to entertain at some time as to whether or not, if nothing else works. Thank you.
Michael?
Well, I have to say I'm pretty much on the same sheet of music. I spoke with Mr. Dinkle about this, and he educated me quite a bit on what happened. We have some land banks that are built. We paid for the specials. We've got infrastructure in place, and they're in places that you don't want to build in, like ravines and things like that. So, and here's another, and another question comes in. If we give abatements, we say we give a lot away, or we don't make people pay the specials, you know, just so that we can get the lots developed. We're giving an advantage to an individual there. So say someone has been there for years and years and years, and they've paid all their specials, and they've done all the right thing. And then we have this other guy who comes in, he doesn't have to pay his specials. Now they got the same house they built, but this other guy has this great advantage. He can sell his house, and he can sell a lot less because he doesn't have all, you know, we abated all the specials. It would be no wonder if the other guy who's been doing the right thing for all these years gets upset. And this is where the communication comes in. I mulled over this a lot before I wrote about it in my blog post. But in the end, the only thing I could come up with is that the needs of the community as a whole will outweigh the needs of individuals in the final reckoning. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. So if you're gonna do somebody bad like that, you need to communicate to them consistently and let them know this is what we're doing, because the city has to get out from under this. The city's going to be paying those specials off regardless. The city owns it. So no matter what we do, we're paying it off. If we can get those specials back, if we can get that money back, great. If we can't, then we need to get those things moving so that we can keep the city growing. And I think that the school is also going to be a big help in that, in getting, because remember, where the school is now, you know, it grew from there. And schools tend to make a neighborhood a lot more viable for buyers. And I'm out of time, but that's how I feel.
Bob?
The land bank's kind of been a hot topic in the coffee shop the last couple of weeks. And one idea that came up was, as we've heard here, give them away. But give them away with a caveat that you would have to build on it within a certain amount of time. If that was to happen, all of a sudden you'd have a house on that piece of land, you'd have property tax coming in, things like that. You'd have a family there. The problem is, and if there's any realtors here, I think they would agree with me, there isn't any demand for those houses or for the vacant land. You can't give them away. Seriously, it is hard, and I think that's part of the problem with the land bank.
Jeff?
The land bank is something that comes up quite often. One of the things that I think that the city needs to do a little bit further is look and see which lots can be marketed as commercial lots, similar to where the new VA clinic was. I believe those were land bank lots that were converted to a commercial use. That would make us more marketable as far as having shovel-ready commercial land. The self-help housing also would help, could also be a viable option to fill some of the land bank lots as well. And like these guys have said, the city has already put in a plan in place to pay off all of the debt associated with the land bank lots. So now it's a matter of visiting with the builders, making sure that they are marketable to them, and ask the builders what they want to see as far as incentives to build. I believe that the builders are the ones that need to be incentivized, because if they build a house on an empty lot, the realtors here in our community, I firmly believe, are going to get the home sold. And so visit with the local builders and see how can we incentivize you guys to build a lot or a house on an empty lot, as well as market them as commercial lots as well, where it's available.
Okay, I think we're ready for our wrap-up now, and we're going to give each of you up to 2 minutes for a conclusion. And as we promised before, we're going to reverse the order. And so, Jeff, we'll let you take a deep breath after you just answered that last question. And we will let you start with your closing statement.
All right, I wrote down my opening statement just so I would remember everything, and then my closing statement I said that I was going to do based on what we had spoke about today. Like I said, I am a local native of Junction City, and I am very passionate about our community. I think it's imperative that we keep moving forward, keep trying to move Junction City into the best possible position that it can be, continue to recruit businesses, make sure that we are doing the right thing for the community, for the citizens, and keep Junction City moving forward. I appreciate everybody coming out here this evening and listening to us, and I hope you guys will all turn out and vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Okay, reversing the order from the opening, and we'll go with Bob with your closing statement. Reverse.
All right, again, thank you all for coming. And that if I go back to talking from my heart again, I'm going to mention the elderly, the retired on fixed incomes, the out of work. I am going to watch out for you. Okay, my phone is going to be there, my door is going to be open. I will take care of you. Thank you.
All right, Michael?
Okay, well. Well, all I can say is that I'm glad that everybody's here. Hope that we have a better turnout at the final election than we did at the run-up to this one. 913 out of 11,000 is not the greatest, but we got to get that air of that cloud that's over everybody's head out of the way. I think Junction City's got a future, regardless of all the challenges that we're currently facing. I promise a couple of things if I do get elected, and one is transparency. I believe that transparency is the antithesis of corruption. And I promise communication as best as I can. I'm going to make it my pet project to ensure that policies and things are able to be communicated out to people as they see it. I have a Facebook page where I have outlined all of my positions on issues, and I know that some of them are controversial. And so I want to make sure that it's out there in the open for all to see. And that's the kind of leader within the community that I want to be. And so if I do get elected, then that's just going to accelerate. I want to make sure that everybody has the information that they need so they can see why their government is doing things to them. Because some of the decisions that we have to make as leaders in any organization are going to be ugly. And some people are going to get hurt by it, and they're going to be angry, and rightfully so. And so if the communication lines are open, I think that's one of the biggest keys to trying to keep an even keel. And then maybe we can have good discussions on how we can resolve these issues. There's a lot of miscommunications and misunderstandings going through all the different entities. I'd like to smooth that out. And that's pretty much what I want to do. That's the two cornerstones of my candidacy right now is transparency and communication.
Tim?
I've served this community for over 37.5 years as a police officer, and I would look forward to the opportunity to be a city commissioner for up to 4 years, depending upon how the vote comes out. I love this city. Like I said, I came here in 1976 to this area. Started living in Junction City since 1978. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I'm very proud of this city. From what this city was in the 70s and 80s to where it is now, is night and day, and I'm so very proud of this because maybe I did just one little thing to make it a difference. My children have grown up here, my grandchildren are going to grow up here, and I look forward to making it the best city possible. I agree with Mike about transparency and communication, but I come in with no venue, I have no agenda. I want to bring in the common sense approach to the decision-making process when I'm sitting up there as a commissioner, if you choose to allow me to be one. And I look forward to having an opportunity to serve you folks. That has kind of been my life, and that is what I want to look forward to in the future. So thank you very much.
Heinrich?
Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't answer all your questions the way you want to, but I do got the heart for this town. I want to be a commissioner, try to improve the Junction City. And this is my home, and I want to be a commissioner because, I don't know, 'Cause I love the town. I don't know nowhere else. Thank you. And when I do come commissioner, I got a lot to learn. So yeah, give me a chance to learn a lot of stuff. Thank you.
And we agree with that sentiment here. We all have a lot to learn. But I've been in Junction City all my life, and I love Junction City. And I just don't believe the notion of how people feel that Junction City, that our best days are behind us. I believe our best days are in front of us. As we come to a close tonight, I want to thank you for your attendance to this forum. I would like to encourage you to vote on the candidate that doesn't divide, but brings together, doesn't tear down, but rebuilds, and doesn't hurt, but helps us build and welcomes a brighter future. I will be a commissioner that will work hard for Junction City each and every day. Let's come together to see Junction City our best days that are before us. I will be honored to have your vote on November 7th. Let's move JC forward together. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, on November the 7th, you will have an opportunity to cast your vote for City Commission, and there are 3 positions, and you have heard from your candidates here this evening. Let's give them a big round of applause for coming out this evening. I'd like to thank our folks before we have our break. Thank our folks from the chamber who are helping us. Caitlin down here is helping with questions, and Sean is down here and with the hand signs for the candidates, including the one that threatens to throw something at the stage if they don't stop at that immediate time. And you did very well, by the way, candidates. You did a very good job. And then Amy also over here. I'd like to thank all the folks from the chamber for coming out. We're going to break for about 15 minutes, reset our stage, and bring our school board candidates up here for our next section here this evening. Thank you for coming out this evening. Welcome back to part 2 of our election forum, our candidate forum this evening, sponsored by the Junction City Area Chamber of Commerce and also by Eagle Communications. And this election forum is being taped and is being will be available for you to come back and take a look at this in the days between now and the elections. So that will be available on JC Post in the next day or so. So we'd like to thank them for coming out and being a part of this. We have candidates now for the Geary County USD 475 Board of Education. And we have candidates. It's kind of a different breakout here because we have 2 candidates that are running for an unexpired term, which was made possible when Kim Millison left the town, left the area, and so LaDonna Younghands and Stephanie Holloway are running for that unexpired term, which will be for 2 years. The rest of our candidates are running for a full term of 4 years. Want to make that clear before we get started here this evening. So we have candidates here for Geary County USD 475 Board of Education. We're going to do the same format. We're going to start with an opening statement up to 2 minutes, and then after that we will go to questions, and we will start alphabetically as we start with the opening statements. Sean is down here with the timer, and she has signs, and she has things to throw at you if you get to the stop sign and you don't. So keep an eye on Sean down here. She'll keep you on track. One of our candidates could not be here tonight because she has a commitment at school this evening, Stephanie Holloway, so we gave her the permission. She is evidently attending parent-teacher conferences this evening, and so she has sent her son, Joshua, who told me that it's not his teachers that she's visiting with this evening. Probably a good thing, right? But we're going to allow Joshua to start us with our opening statements. He has a statement for his mother, and then we'll get to our candidates here and go on. So we'll introduce Joshua Holloway.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Holloway. I'm a sophomore at Junction City High School. My mom, Stephanie Holloway, is running for the 2-year term on the Board of Education. Unfortunately, she is unable to be here tonight due to her job. She is a social emotional learning specialist for USD 473, and tonight is the first night of parent-teacher conferences. My mom is committed to her work with children and knew this was an important event to attend, but also knew that it would be unfair to parents and students to reschedule their conferences. She apologizes for not being able to attend tonight and invites you to learn more about her by visiting her Facebook page, Stephanie Holloway, USD 475, BOE, or you can reach her by phone at 785-761-3030. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share this information with you.
Thank you, Joshua. Now we'll start with opening statements, and we will start with William Brooks.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first thank the Chamber for putting on this forum for us tonight. My name is William Brooks. I'm currently sitting as the Vice President of the School Board. I'm also the manager for the Armed Forces Bank here at Fort Raleigh. We also have a bank in Junction City. I'm a retired Army veteran. I've been in this community now about 22 years. My son, Ubron Brooks, went through the school system. He's currently right now working at Verizon. I say that the reason why I like to serve on the board is to give something back to the community. I do have a little spare time, and I think Dr. Miller noticed that, and he asked me to come and help him bring Junction City forward. I have a big heart of taking care of folks in the community. I would say that being in the community for the years I have lived here, I have really been amazed of how Junction City has grown, and I'm also optimist that Junction City can be much, much better. I'm pursuing that the new school do pass. I hope that everyone vote yes. Because I think the school is also going to bring more kids, more family, more businesses in this community. We have to definitely try to do something to make our community the best community it could possibly be. And I'm going to pursue those dreams to help support that here with the USD 475. Currently on the board, I am here to serve the people. I have no convictions. I'm not here to criticize, condemn, and complain. I'm here to get things done. If there's business to be done, I'm here to pass it forward to the public and make sure that we take care of our kids, take care of our teachers, take care of our staff, and also make Junction City the pride is what it is. And I came here and had my house built from in Junction City, and I've been here for over 22 years, and I'm happy to be serving on your board right now.
Okay. LaDonna Young-Hens.
I'd like to thank the Chamber and Eagle Communication for hosting us this evening. I am LaDonna Young-Hens. I have been a State Farm Insurance agent here in town for 26 years. Prior to that, I was at Gary Community Hospital for 10 years in accounting, and ended that career at GCH as our materials director, ordering all the supplies for the hospital. And prior to that, I was at a local bank for 5 years. I have been married to my husband 40 years, and that's when I came to Junction City. I was raised on a farm in southeast of Clay County, attended Chapman High School, graduated Kansas State University, and made a little circle and came right back to Gary County and made it home. We have 2 adult sons who graduated Junction City High School, then Kansas State University. They too have decided that Gary County is their home. They have married and they're beginning to raise their families here. So our entire family is very passionate about our community, and we serve as much as we can through our different organizations. I am in a 4-year term on U.S. Last year I did serve as a president. It was my honor. There are many, many great things going on at our school district that I'm so very proud of. And one of those is our continued commitment in professional development within our school district. because those people are the ones that make it happen. So I would appreciate your vote and hope I get to continue to serve this community.
Okay, Rena Neal.
Good evening. My name is Rena Neal, and I was born and raised in Junction City, Kansas. I attended elementary, middle, and high schools in Junction City. I hold a bachelor's in science and business administration with an emphasis in accounting and a minor in economics, as well as a master's of business administration from Kansas State University. I have over 15 years of public administration experience working with the city of Manhattan as the city controller. In that position, I have debt management, budgeting, forecasting, and daily accounting operations that I could bring to the Board of Education. I've served on numerous boards and committees within this community, and I feel that the skills I have in communication, accounting, analytical, and problem solving would best suit the board. Also, over 3 years ago, I began a journey of public service and self-discovery to find my purpose in life and to discover what I'm most passionate about. During this ever-evolving journey of self-discovery, I began volunteering with communities in schools and Jobs for America's graduates at our Junction City High School. Working with the staff and students of these exceptional programs have allowed me to discover my true purpose in life. The feeling of fulfillment and happiness I have received from my interactions with those students has been rewarding. It brings me great joy to be a mentor and an advocate for today's youth. Whether they are preschool age students or college students, it is my hope that something I have said or done will leave a lasting impression in them and that it will provide the motivation and inspiration for them to succeed. My passion for youth, coupled with my strong background in public administration, has prepared me to pursue a path of public service in the public education system. If elected, I will work with the school district officials and other community members to make policy decisions that benefit our children, all of our children, families, district, staff, and the entire Geary County community. Thank you.
Sarah Talley.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out this evening, and I do encourage you to vote and encourage all the others in your families and neighborhood to vote also. I am Sarah Talley. I am a native of Junction City. I was born and raised here. I have my husband, Ken Talley, and we've been married for 37 years. We have 2 children. Our son and his wife reside here in Junction City, and our daughter right now is working federal civil service in South Korea. So any prayers you want to send her way, we'll actually take. I'm very excited about seeking a position on the school board, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I have a strong background in education. I was in the field of education for 32 years and feel like I've never left it. It's always been a part of what I do and the things that I become involved in. My ambition on serving on the board has to do with really focusing on academics for our students. I want us to look closely at how we expend our funds and if those funds are getting us the resources that will help our students continue to learn. And I'd like for us to see communication be more open and have results shown and shared with the public, as well as the public feeling like they can come and ask questions. I do have a background in budgeting. I have worked as the personnel director for the school district, so I have a background in personnel. I also have worked with staff development. In my retirement, I've served with the CASA program in 8th Judicial District, and I have also worked with the health department in reducing infant mortality in our community. I have time, I will give time, but most importantly, my mission will always be about student learning. Thank you.
David Walker.
I'm Dave Walker. I'm born and raised in Junction City, went to Junction City High School, K-State Business Administration grad. I attended the 6th grade in the Historical Museum, which will give you a little idea how old I am, and the junior high in the current freshman academy. My wife and I were the first class to graduate from the current high school in 1959. I've been involved in business most of my life, and for about 40 years I owned, operated, partnered in many businesses in 4 states. I sold the last business in December of 16, and now I think I have time to devote to another job. I'm looking forward to the possibility of building a new high school. I have extensive experience in contracting, which should be helpful to the board. USD 475 is a big business. It's exciting to me to be able to jump onto the board and involve myself in the activities. I'm an active member of the First United Methodist Church. I'm a former Marine. I'm a member of American Legion, Elks, Rotary. I'm a private pilot, diver, husband, father, grandfather, and that probably covers it. Anyway, I really look forward to the possibility of being able to help in building this new high school, and that gives me a lot of energy. Thank you.
Okay, Lawrence Young.
Yes, thank you for all of you for coming out tonight. My name is Lawrence Young. I've been involved with, I am a born Geary Countian, lived here all my life. I have taught in elementary, secondary classrooms, and now I'm teaching at Cloud County Community College here in Geary County. My main concern in education has always been, number one, to the parents and the students, and making sure that they are being told the truth about their son's education. I've worked very hard all those years working with students, and I'm still working with them. I get them from Junction City High School in my classes up at Cloud County. I teach a difficult subject, physics and geology, but I make it interesting to them. I taught in Geary County Public Schools for 21 years and resigned in 1997, and shortly thereafter went to work at Cloud County. I believe that the USD 475 has many things that we can, as a board, can help with, and I want to be available to parents for their concerns, students for their concerns, and I will do my best to get all their questions answered and get back to them so they feel better about their education in Geary County Public Schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll get to the questions. I don't know if you've heard, but there's going to be a school bond issue on the ballot this year. And so we might as well start with this question. So the question is, what is your position on the school bond issue and why? And we'll start with LaDonna.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I hope every citizen will ask questions, attend meetings, and read everything they possibly can to gather accurate information. I am 150% for a new educational facility in Geary County. Our education process today doesn't look anything like it did yesterday, 10 years ago, and it's not going to look the same 10 years from now. So it's just like, think about our cell phones. Do our cell phones today look like they did even 5 years ago? Education is evolving so fast. We have to be flexible to meet the needs of today's students, and we need to help prepare them, whether they are walking out of high school, graduating into a job, or whether they're going to a vocational college, whether they're going to a two-year school. We've got to prepare them for whatever's ahead, which brings me to believing collaboration between a community and the businesses and our education system is very, very critical. The needs for training are changing, and so does the structure change to function within. We have a very rare opportunity where our funding can come 47% from the state bond being matched, and that's a given. The state has already said yes to that. Our community has to vote for that. We have 44 million in the bank from heavy impact aid, and today had the great announcement that that has been approved. So we have the next 4 years of going from 65 million to 80-some million dollars for us. That leaves only 10% being funded with our local mill levy, which is in place and will not increase. So yes, I am for a new structure. Thank you.
Rena?
Thank you. I served on the steering committee for the JCHS Way Forward, and I also served on the Say Yes to JCHS campaign. The opportunity to build a new Junction City High School is unique and something other school districts can only dream of. It is important to realize that this is a community effort, not just a USD 475 effort. The school district, city, county, chamber, and the community at large each play a vital role in making this opportunity a reality. A new school will provide more opportunities to improve the student learning experiences and outcomes. High school should create a learning environment for the students to explore careers, nurture self-discovery, cultivate lifelong learning, and prepare for life after high school. A new school provides the opportunity for community collaborations and partnerships that will benefit the staff, the students, and their families, and the community as a whole. We must be forward-thinking and prepare the students for the unpredictable. We must provide the ability to adapt and evolve to the changes in education in our society. There must be an understanding of what do the students need and deserve to be successful now and after they leave high school. We need to do what is right for the students. The way students are learning in high school starts with a redesign of how they learn and why they learn. Are all of the students reaching their full potential? And so, yes, I do believe that a Junction City High School is necessary for our community, and it will provide the opportunity for not only our students and their families to grow and excel, but our community as a whole. Thank you.
Sarah?
This is a very hot topic, and lots of people have had a lot of discussions, and there's been a lot of information shared, and I think many of you may be surprised by my response, but I am not in favor of building a new high school. And the reasons for that include the fact that I do not want to see the current high school, the area in which it is, the neighborhood in which it sits in, to be abandoned. I do not feel that we are thinking long-term in the sense of a fiscal picture. The panel that we just heard before talked a great deal about what the debt costs have been and what they continue to do and how they keep a cap on us from doing more things, and I'd like for us to avoid that. We have a very good deal to leverage our funds, but there's more than just today. There's keeping buildings open, programs running, and most importantly, seeing that what we are doing inside of those buildings are really preparing and working for our children, all children. It's a tough spot to be in when you're not on the side that seems to be the majority, but I think we should all think very carefully about long-term of what we want for our community as far as the area in which the school would be, as well as what we're going to do with empty buildings and how we're going to continue to have programs for all the children in our school. Thank you.
Okay. David?
Well, I'm definitely for it. I think it's a unique opportunity to get a high school built with no mill levy increase. When the present high school was built, there was a lot of complaints about, well, it's clear outside of town, you know, it's so far out there, you know, what are we going to do? And so you can see where it sits now. And I think the same thing will happen in a new high school in 50 years. So I'm not concerned about where it's going to be built. I mean, there's a lot of question about where are we going to build it? Where are we going to build it? Well, it's the only direction that really we need to go is west. And I think the school board has talked to the landowners out there and has something arranged to handle it if our bond issue passes. Second thing I am concerned about is the maintenance cost. We have a 100-year-old building that we've got the freshman academy in. We've got the 60-year-old building that there's 3 high school classes in. And the maintenance, I looked at the budget and there was a $13 million number there, and I don't know whether that was for all of the schools or which schools, but I think we can save a lot of money by building a new high school. Third thing is the high school presently can't hold all the high school classes. we can only hold 3 classes, and I don't think you can get them all in the auditorium at the same time. So I think we need to build a high school that we can put all of the classes in, so we don't have to bus them back and forth from the freshman academy, and have the whole school in one location. And so that's a lot of why I'm for it.
Okay. Lawrence?
Well, at this point in time, it really doesn't matter whether I'm for it or against it, because if I'm elected, I will be elected on the same night that the school board issue is decided upon. So I can be very truthful with you and tell you that I'm more concerned about the academic achievement of our schools over the last few years. And why aren't our students improving in that academic achievement? You know, the web, internet is a terrible thing. I hate it. I'm from the old school. But when you know where to look, you can find unbiased information about every school in the United States and their academic achievements, and it's broken down by states and school boards. And I am more worried about the academic achievement that's going on in our district than I am at this time about a new school or not a new school. Once I get elected, then I will be worried about one way or another there. But at this time, my response to that question would be I'm neutral down the fence until I get elected. Thank you.
Okay. William?
Yes. I would say that when it relates to the bond, we already have the money. And if you have the money, I think it's good to use it wisely. If you was in an old car and you know it breaks down, you're going to repair it, and it's going to keep breaking down. You're going to keep repairing it. This school is very old. Pipes, you can see it on the outside of the wall. There's asbestos still in the building. The roof leaks. If we continue to just spend money to repair this old building, at one point something is going to happen. A good gust of wind coming in, the whole school going to fall down. We need to go ahead and build a new school. Family factors have changed. The classrooms are small. Technology has changed. All of that needs to be factored in why we need to move forward and move on to make sure our kids get the best quality education possible. And I think we got a chance to do that. And that's why everybody in this room need to vote on November the 7th to make that happen.
Okay, a couple of follow-up questions in the same topic, and that's with the possibility of a new high school. And one of the questions from the audience comes regarding the assignment of the architectural work and contractor work, and whether that's going to be up for bid or how the school board's going to deal with that. And that's going to be the next question. Rena, we will start with you about your thoughts on the process of selecting a contractor and also architecture firm.
In terms of the architecture firm was selected back in the spring, maybe summer of 2016, prior to the steering committee actually being formed. And so that process for the architecture firm has already been established. In terms of the contracting process, that will be a formal bid process, normal to any other contracting process that they have for the school district and even the city. And so that would require formal bids to be submitted by those interested parties. This is a federally funded project, partially federally funded. So when you think about that type of facility, you have to make sure that you're bringing in those contractors that have the skills to be able to build that facility, oversee and inspect that facility, as well as administer and pass it off to the school district. And so in terms of the type of process, there's a myriad of processes that can take place. They can do a construction manager at risk, they can do formal bids, and so it is based on what the community really wants. I would encourage those in the community that are in the engineering and the building field to contact the school board and the administrators, and to talk to them about your concerns about how the construction process is going to take place. And so if you do that and are engaged in that process, I think they will listen to you. We need to do what's best for the community in terms of the way the school is built, and you don't want to do something that's low bid and responsible bidder. And so you need to think about long-term the financial fitness of this project and who is going to be able to take care of this project from the beginning to the end of the project. You cannot have people come in that don't have the background in administration or oversight of a federal funded project. And so again, engagement from the community, local expertise, we have that here, and then also contacting the school board and the administration to be more engaged in that process as well.
Sarah?
There are both state and federal guidelines regarding the process that we were discussing, and I think that it's very important that those be followed. I think it's also important that the board members, should this vote be in favor of the new school, clearly communicate with all of the public with regards to what the process is and how it's being carried out, and to be open to questions. And that includes lengthening possibly the time that people can speak at board meetings. Also giving folks time to ask questions and receive timely responses to those questions. It's very important, I think, for this process to be done correctly, because it is a costly process should it be chosen to be done, and it impacts many people.
Okay. David?
Well, I've had quite a bit of experience with contractors and architects, and don't get me started on these change orders. But I think that if the architect has already been hired, then it's his responsibility to design a building that doesn't have to have change order after change order. I think some of the architectural firms are mostly lawyers, and so they pass off the construction management to a construction management company, and then the construction management company deals with the contractor, and then they go back to the architect and say, we don't like this, we don't like that, got a change order. Well, here's a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 change order. That bites me bad, and I'm going to make sure that the architect is held responsible for building a building, designing a building that can be built without a whole lot of change orders, in my view.
And Lawrence?
Well, I'm going to refer back to the city councils taking the stand that they need more economic development in the city. And I think this would be a good way for the school board to step forward and take the lead if they made sure that they hired a local contractor that is local to Junction City in this area, and not hire a big contractor that, say, is from out of state that says they can get the job done faster. I think the best way to help initiate our economy here is for the board to pick a local contracting company or two to work together to build a school and keep the money local here. Employ local people and not bring in people like has been done in the past.
Okay. William?
Can I use up the rest of my time?
No, you'll have a chance for rebuttal in just a moment. William?
I would say that when I took the job to sit on the board, one word stuck with me, and that's being transparent to the public. Before we can get to second base, we need to worry about first base. And architect, all that stuff is going to come after we even make the decision, do we want to move forward with a new school? There are a lot of professionals out there. We have faith in the school district that we have. The superintendent has been doing a real great job of explaining the process, how we get from point A to point B. But right now we need to make sure the public understand how important it is for us to first to say, do we want a new school? After that, transparent of letting everyone know where the possible areas the school would be at, what are the possible type of structure based on the community populations and so forth. You're going to get that. All of that is going to be provided to everyone. But we need to focus right now, the very importance of what this means. If we decide not to do this school on November the 7th, nothing else would matter. So that's why I would like to stop and say we need to focus on November the 7th.
And LaDonna.
Well, I think a lot of good words have been said here. I have to totally agree with Bill, and I have to totally agree with Rena. She has great expertise on building large buildings, working with the federal regulations that many of us don't have. And that's what happens with a diversified board, and why a diversified board is so very, very important, any board. Our architect has been determined. It was determined a long time. We have a long time relationship, but we also have done our homework to know that that was a very good relationship, and what we were paying for, we were getting back. So there was good value there. There has not been any agreements, nothing said about who's going to be the contractor, because again, we are not to that step in this process. So we have not spent our time there. And until we know whether we're going to move forward, that the community wants to commit to a new school, there was no reason to go that direction.
Okay. Now, Mr. Walker, as they say, use it or lose it. However, we will give all of the candidates a 1-minute chance for rebuttal, and we'll start with Rena, since you started this on this question. If you want the opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal, Sean, 1 minute on this, if you would like to follow up on this, and we'll give everyone a chance.
Thank you. I would say that if we don't move forward with the new high school, that we will be coming back to the community in 5 years, and the need will still be there. And so with the opportunity now that we have with the federal funding as well as the state funding available to us, it is the perfect time for us to do that. And I know some people may say, oh my gosh, perfect time, it seems to be too good to be true, but it is. And we have received a windfall from the federal government. The state has supported and backed this project, and we are just in a unique situation for our community. School districts across the state are pretty much jealous of us for the opportunity to be able to do what we are able to do. And again, I say if we don't do it now, we're still going to have to do it in the future. And if we do it in the future, it's going to cost the taxpayers.
Okay, Sarah?
I would like to also share that our enrollment at the high school has dropped and continues to drop over the last few years. We have options for growth within both the high school and the Freshman Success Academy. But more importantly, we have a chance to say we do not want to incur more debt, regardless of how it will be paid. Because right now, our funding source from the state is never secure. We're not sure what's going to happen with the federal. We've been promised more money, and I think that's exciting. And I'm very hopeful that that all arrives. But we have to recognize that we have many other buildings and other children to serve, and make good use of the money that we do have now to refurbish the high school that we have. Thank you.
David?
Well, to rebut Sarah just a little, I think most of the grade schools and the 2 middle schools are fairly new. I mean, I know Franklin School is not a new school; it's been updated, and in fact, I went to Franklin School, so you know it's old. But anyway, I think we need to take care of, or take advantage of this opportunity. I don't think the state has ever failed a bond issue, and I think the money that's coming from the federal heavy impact aid will take care of the rest of it. I'm not looking for any increase in the mill levy due to the high school. The one thing I wanted to say before was that I have already talked to several large contractors who I worked with at Fort Riley and other places, and trying to encourage them to take a set of plans and bid the job. So it'll be a competitive bid.
Okay, Lawrence?
I didn't know old was bad.
I didn't say it was bad.
I thought, it could be like wine. The older the building, the better it gets. But I can see everybody's point of view, and I still come back to worry about academics. Because we moved into a new middle school several years ago, and the academic achievement levels have dropped. That's all.
William?
I want to say is that, you know, the population in the community always rises and falls. And the reason why population has fallen is because of large deployments in our community. But one thing that I know is, and I work on Fort Raleigh, when a family member comes here, the first question that they ask, where can I put my kid in a daycare? And we don't have a lot of those facilities here. I think if we change our focus, how we take care of the family when they come here, this community will have more people in it. And we need to really think about how we take care of the families and their needs. And it starts with the kids, it starts with the youth. And this is why this is a big focus. And I think we need to put that forward to make this happen. And I can't really put a finger on it, what it would take to put more child care centers or daycare centers, how we take care of families. That just has to be the spirit that really flows in the people here at Junction City. If we want this community to grow, we have to look at where it takes in the families, what their needs are.
Okay, and LaDonna.
Well, a new facility affirms our commitment to educating our youth in the way they need to be educated for tomorrow, the flexible environment. Every student now tends to have their own individual student plan. They learn at different rates, they excel at different rates, and a lot of that comes from the technology and how that technology is set up and how the teachers and the staff can interact with that student. The 47% match, if we don't approve that, it goes away. So where will the funds come from 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Then the mill levy will have to change. There are 9 school districts that will vote November 7th on a bond. But we are the only school that is going into that without any mill levy increase. And that's because of the opportunity with our heavily impact aid. Everyone else is voting for a 4 to a 20% 20 mill levy increase in their school district. Ours is at 0.
Okay, we're going to go with the same topic, but we have some of the topics we want to get to. So I'm going to shorten this one up and go with a 1-minute response, if you will, on these. And one more question about the possibility of a new school, and the question's been asked, your thoughts on what to do with the present facility if a new school is built somewhere else. So your thoughts on what do you think should be done with the current high school property? And we will start with Sarah Talley on this one.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Thank you. I believe that a school building does define an area in a community, and it would be very sad to see the vacuum that would be left if that building were torn down. I think there are still many uses for that building. As I stated, I think it's a building that still can continue as our high school. I think we need to look as a board at the many facilities that we do have and how those facilities are being used. We also need to think about the impact of the choices that we make on the other entities in the community and find more ways to work collaborative with them and continue the collaborative relationships that we already have.
Okay, David?
Well, I think the first thing you do is advertise it on a national basis, advertise it for sale as a high school or as a school or some other type of facility that somebody could come in and remodel. Secondly, I think it would need to be torn down if that didn't come about. I think the same thing could happen to the freshman academy. But when you end up with a spot of ground in a city like this that could be used for some other industry, light or technology-wise, I think there'll be a market for that site.
Okay, Lawrence?
Well, I think it'd be very hard to get the high school sold especially if it has the football field and track attached to the sale. And I hate to see all the money that was put into that track and football field just 6 or 8 years ago to go to waste. So I think there would have to be a very hard look at what they are going to do with that building. And maybe they would expand special education into that building from all other schools. Or maybe they would want to develop a VOTEC program to fill up that building and make use of it. But I don't think that we should stop and look at it as an empty building and put it up for sale or tear it down until we expand those horizons.
Okay, William?
Well, I have a background in environment, and I would say that there is probably a lot of things in this school could be recycled. There's probably some funds that could come out of that school back into the school district. So, but what we need to look at is that school is nearly unsafe. And I don't think anyone out there will probably want to buy that school if they know how much money they got to go in and tear out everything that's in it and build it almost from the ground up. So I think we need to look at probably what could be recycled from that building and really label it to be unsafe once we move out of it. And I think we would just start anew with the land and sell the land. And the land will also bring some money back to the school. So I think there's some money that could be driven from the old school or what's left of it. But we need to look at why we're leaving the school. It's because it's unsafe.
Okay, and LaDonna?
Well, in a perfect world, it would be great to sell it, but honestly, because I love everything in this community, my due diligence and compassion, I think I would feel guilty selling it to someone else, knowing what was ahead for them in rebuilding, demolishing, restructuring. That would not be a good scenario. So I would say it would be time to demolish it and hope that the location would be feasible for another type of industry to go in that same location. But it would be cost prohibitive to keep the building and try to renovate it. That's why we're in the position we're in today. It's time to move on.
Rena?
Thank you. I think this provides an opportunity for the city, county, chamber, and the school district to collaborate and come up with some ideas as to the best use of the site. If the bond election is approved, it is included in the actual cost to demolish the site. And I know to date there's not been interest in the actual facility because of the same issues that are experienced right now with the school district. And so there may be opportunities to salvage the stadium. I mean, each building facility has an estimated useful life. And by the time, if the school is approved, that estimated useful life of that facility, at the turf, I should say, at the football stadium will expire. And so, however, there are still opportunities to allow for that to be utilized and to provide opportunities for youth sports in the community. So I would like to see, if possible, that the stadium could be salvaged and there could be a partnership with the city, the county, or some other entity to be able to keep that on the premise.
Okay. Excluding the high school vote, what do you see as a priority of the board and USD 475? And David, we'll start with you.
I didn't hear the question.
Excluding the high school vote, other than the high school vote, what do you see as a priority of the Board of Education USD 475?
If the vote is not,
Just putting that aside.
This is beside the vote.
put it aside, okay.
Yeah.
I have to turn on my hearing aids. Well, as was mentioned here before, the scores or whatever haven't been what they should be. I don't know where that comes from, whether it's from the interest the students have in school or the interest that's been made available to them. but that's probably one of the key things that should be worked on.
Okay, Lawrence?
Well, of course, I'm interested in academic achievement, but there's another instance that I know went on when I was teaching here, and from what I gained from talking to people, students aren't getting the materials that they need to have. Parents are having to provide them. Teachers are paying out of their pocket for materials in the classroom. The last 3 years that I taught in USD 475 at the middle school, teaching science, I spent over $5,000 a year out of my own pocket for materials. And I think that one of the things that we should concentrate on is getting the materials to the students so that the parents shouldn't have to bear the weight of providing other materials that the schools don't provide. And I think that the schools should make sure that their teachers don't have to pay money out of their own pocket to buy supplies for their classroom.
Okay. William?
I think the board should be focusing on technology. I think we need to stay above technology for our kids, and I think the better we do that, the better our kids is going to be educated. Other than that, I think we also should be worrying about to grow our own, to keep our own teachers, which we have lacked it over the years. A lot of teachers leave to go to different communities for other jobs and so forth, and I think Dr. Miller and I, we've been working on or grow our own program to where we can keep students here that graduate and then become teachers here in their own community. We have a lot of folks on this panel and on the other panel that have been born in Junction City and still here. And we like to see kids grow within this community. So I would say that that's some of the focus that we're focusing on. But then I know that we have real good teachers in this community, and so we like to really keep them where we have here. And I think not bringing a new school back into the plan, but I think if we did some of those things that we talked about earlier would help us in the future. Okay.
LaDonna?
Several of my goals include providing and continuing to provide a safe and secure educational environment, preparing each student, whether they're going to a VOTEC, whether they need to be career ready when they graduate high school or go on to a four-year college, to include transparency with those we serve. I think that has changed tremendously and improved greatly over the last few years. And probably the most important issue is to retain and attract our educators that we currently have here. We are a community that people come and go a lot, including our instructors. And in any industry, when you have great rollover, that is costly because it becomes training. And we have tremendous people that are highly committed. But how do we retain them and how do we attract more? And I do feel like part of that comes back as our industry and our community grows. That would be a big solution on retaining and attracting new teachers also.
Okay, Rena?
The conversation about high academic achievement has been brought up a few times, and I agree that's one of the main priorities that should be the focus of a school district and a school board. In terms of that, I would like to focus on creativity in the learning process and giving that back to the teachers to be able to have that latitude to be able to be creative in their classrooms. I think there's a lot of rigidness in the way that students are being taught, and as a parent of a 9-year-old boy in our school system, I have experienced that lack of creativity from the classroom because it's not the teacher's fault, it's just the way the system works. And so being able to have something that is innovative, having student input, especially in our high schools, in terms of what they would like to see in their class and their activities that they are participating in, that would help a lot in terms of them being interested in school and graduating and figuring out what they want to do after graduation, whether it's going into the military, going to college, or finding a job. And so those are some of the things in terms of high academic achievement that I would like to focus on, and then especially individualized learning plans.
Sarah?
Are we on 1 minute or 2 minutes?
We're on 2 minutes.
2, okay. I'll take 3, no. Thank you for laughing. Everybody looks so serious. This is serious business, and I don't mean to be light about it. I think one of the first things that I feel the board will need to address and will be able to do a very good job with is to bring the community back together over whatever the vote is for the high school. I think it's going to be imperative that people feel there's a place for them, a place for their idea, a place for their thoughts regarding the election, whether they're on the winning side or the losing side. And I think that's the first thing we need to get rid of, is the concept of winning and losing. There was a decision to be made. People were offered the options, given lots of information, and allowed to make that decision. Once it's made, it's all of our job to work together to move forward in the district. Academic achievement is a nice word to throw around, but I want you to take a minute. We just finished parent-teacher conferences. How many of you that have children were able to ask your teacher, will my child be ready for the next grade? Is my child reading on grade level? Is my child able to do math? Is my child learning at a rate that's going to allow them to continue to be successful? And if they're not, why and what's happening and how can I help? Academic achievement is very much the goal and the purpose of an education system. We're here to serve the students and the parents, the teachers and the administrators, and it's important that all those parties work together. I think it's important that relationships among those within the school district are maintained and kept open and addressed when needs do arise, and that we recognize that, like many things in Junction City, we have the potential to make it happen here.
Okay, we're going to try to sneak in 2 more questions here yet before we go to closing comments. So we'll go to 1 minute each response on these last 2 questions. And we will start with Lawrence. And we have a question from the audience about diversity in the hiring of teachers. And your thoughts on diversity and how it comes to play in the hiring of teachers in USD 475. We'll start, again, 1 minute with Lawrence.
Well, I think about back several years ago, and the board that is in place now probably had nothing to do with it, but USD 475 went overseas and hired a bunch of several foreign teachers, brought them over and their families over here and put them in our school, and found out they knew no English. And a lot of the students really had a hard time. And I think that the school board, when looking at applicants of teachers, I think we should look at a diversified group of teachers, but I think it's also very, very imperative to make sure that they are able to communicate with students and just not bring them in to fill a position.
Okay, William?
Well, I think that's a goal that we need to work on, and that's why I volunteered to come and sit on the board to kind of help diversity at the school. Yes, we're in need of diversity, but we also have to open the doors for opportunity, and I think we're working on that as well. We're trying to work on building relationships, and I think that's one of all those, and we're working towards that.
Okay, LaDonna.
There is a shortage of instructors. We need to be every place we possibly can and post all our positions. HR does visit surrounding colleges to recruit instructors to our school district. We are known throughout the state as one of the leading districts. Our professional development is very high and very respected within our state. We have to be able to promote those teachers, develop them, and retain them. And it's a challenge, not just for us, but everyone in our state. And we just have to keep working on it.
Rena.
Thank you. In terms of the idea of diversity and inclusion, that is something that I had as one of my goals and topics of process improvements for the district. There has to first be a value placed on the importance of diversity and inclusion. And so there needs to be some type of collaborative efforts with the parents, the teachers, the staff, the administration to see what diversity and inclusion looks like for our community. There has to be representation at all levels, not just the school district, but the city and county as well. We need to think about who are we serving and the needs of those people that we are serving, and how are we able to serve those people if you don't have the representation of those people on your elected boards and commissions. And then also, LaDonna had mentioned that HR does go out and meet with other colleges and universities. There's also opportunities for professional development within those colleges and universities for diversity and inclusion training. So those are things that I feel are very important. Thank you.
Sarah.
I think when it comes to diversity, we need to go one step further, and it's a very deep and a very important step. It's more than representation. It's the respect and honor and belief and actions on those beliefs that people of color, people of different, any way that's different than the white persons that you see sitting up here, are capable and able and loving and endearing and, most importantly, very talented teachers. I think too often there are people that are dismissed because that's not the culture in their school, and I think that too often they are not supported because they are misunderstood, because we haven't made a choice to believe not only can all kids succeed, but teachers of all color can succeed.
David?
I guess the question answers itself. I think Junction City is one of the most diversified schools districts in the state. If you're talking about teachers, or my philosophy when I was in business was, if they can do the job, anybody can do the job, that's who you hire. And so I don't understand the question about diversity. I thought we had diversity.
Okay. And the next question also deals with teachers, and it's on retention of teachers, and how can we do a better job of retaining the teachers that we have in our school district. And William, we will start with you.
Well, that's almost like the same question we just got done with, but to grow our own program, meet that cause. If we already have diversity kids in our school that want to become teachers, we already have a pairs, and we also have substitute teachers that comes that fits that diversity, that may want to become a teacher. And I think that grow your own program is what we're trying to do to help keep the diversity within Junction City. I think once we first bring one teacher aboard that grew up in this community and went to the school and became a teacher and was a minority, I think everyone would be very pleased that we have a program in place to strengthen the diversity in this community. Once one kid see that that person can make it, then they're all going to know that they can make it. And that's what we're working on.
LaDonna.
Would you please restate the question, Mark?
What should USD 475 do to retain more teachers?
Well, as a board member, I always try to look back at the history, I try to look at the present, and I try to look at the future. And 50% of our budget is for wages and benefits for our staff and for our instructors. We want to do the very best we can for them. They obviously work extremely hard in our district, because our district is very unique in the fact with 60% military, we have our children evolving in and out, and as that occurs, each instructor has to create that individual learning plan for that child. But when we work on that budget, we not only can look at just this year, we have to look at the current years and can we maintain it. So sometimes it's not just fun, sometimes it's that professional development for that instructor and the staff.
Okay, Rena.
I would first say that we should survey the staff that is leaving in terms of an exit interview to see why are they actually leaving our district. Also survey our current staff to see what it is that they would like to have in terms of incentives, in terms of professional development, and to go from there in terms of devising a plan to meet those needs of that staff. That is something that is important to me in terms of reaching out to your staff and getting their buy-in and communicating with them and getting their input. That is something that is necessary in order to get your agenda accomplished.
Okay, Sarah?
Retention is a very difficult issue, but I think it's one that's faced throughout the United States in all sorts of industries. For us at USD 475, I think it's very critical that we understand that teaching does not occur in isolation, that it is a collaborative process, and that there needs to be collaboration and not just necessarily direction given and told exactly how to do things. There needs to be an exchange, and I think this is one of the things that I think is really critical, is that to ask questions is not to be a bad teacher or a bad administrator or a bad parent or a bad kid. That in a healthy environment, there are questions asked, there's things put out on the table, and there is professional discourse that occurs. I don't believe this is happening in our district at this time, and I think we're losing a lot of teachers because they're not finding this to be the best place to teach.
David?
I kind of agree with Sarah, but my management style was to bring an idea to your superintendents, foremen, and give them some direction on how you think they should do it, and then turn them loose to let them figure out the details. And I don't know whether that works in teaching or not, but I would think that if a teacher was told this is what you need to do, you figure out a way to do it, that ought to work. I don't know.
Okay, Lawrence?
I think we have a lot of very innovative teachers teaching in this school district. But when you have an innovative teacher teaching, they don't always want to follow the set curriculum. And to go outside that curriculum, if they have to pay money out of their own pocket to do it, there's very few teachers that will do that. And instead of sticking around, they'll go to some district that they can teach in their innovative style and not have to pay money out of their own pocket. And I think we lose a lot of teachers because the schools district in the past has stifled their innovative thinking. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on now to our closing statements, and there will be a 2-minute limit on that because I understand there's a banana split or something of waiting for someone out in the audience if we can get done. So we need to move on. So we're going to go with our closing statements, and we're going to reverse the order and start with Lawrence Young, and again, 2 minutes closing statement.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you folks for coming and listening and sitting and listening. I've always been, in the 41 years that I've taught in school districts and schools, I've always been #1 for students. I will bend over backwards to try to develop interest in a student, because if you develop interest, it doesn't have any limitations in their learning. I have opened up a email account, It's lyong.educator@gmail.com for parents and taxpayers to email me any concerns that you have. I will try to deal on every concern, get an answer for you, and return your email with an answer to your question. And I would like to have your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Okay, David?
Thank you for being here and for listening to us. We all have I think a heart for education, and the first thing I believe is that education is very important to everyone. that it's where progress in life starts. Without education, you don't go anywhere. And I think the school board has a responsibility to the students, the parents, and the community to offer the best education available to prepare them for success in life, whether it's college or a career. And we have a global economy. And to accomplish this goal, we've got to work with the staff, the teachers, and the like-minded board members. We have a responsibility to the families at Fort Riley, and a new high school would show that we care and we support them. I ask for your vote on November 7th.
Sarah?
Again, thank you for being here this evening and for listening, and for all the people that are out there listening also. Please vote. I think that's very important, and we can't say that enough. I think that's a skill and a practice that is very important in our culture that we need to continue to work on. My 3 areas that I've talked about over and over again is academic achievement. Are the things that we're doing working for all students? And are we watching that? Are we checking that? Are we seeing what's happening? Are we serving the needs of all? I think it's not something that has to necessarily be set at the state level, but it's something that we definitely have the capability within our district to figure out and to know on a regular basis how our students are doing in our classroom. I'm very serious about the financial side. There's a lot of money out there, there's a lot of numbers out there right now, but we know that our population in our school district is going down, and that our state funding is based on that student population. I think that's an issue that we need to keep in mind. We need to be able to say, for the long run, we're going to sustain the good things that we have. And I think communication is very important. I sounded harsh earlier when I said about teachers leaving, but we have people that want to be here, that care about what's going on here, and we are losing them. I think it's very important that we find those ways to communicate within our district. We have the staff, both administratively and teachers, all of our classified staff are capable of making that happen. I think we just need to bring our system back and write it a little bit as far as how we're going to do that and how we're going to bring integrity and professionalism back. Thank you.
Okay, Rena.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and coming out this evening. I am passionate about public education and I am a public servant. I'm committed to our children and families, staff, and our community. I will dedicate my time to prepare our students for success in and outside of the classroom. I will work to provide our educators and support staff the tools and necessary resources to ensure our children's success. I will work to bring forth policies and programs that focus on the following objectives: community collaborations and engagement, parent involvement in education, high scholastic achievement for all students, staff recruitment and retention, and long-term fiscal responsibility. I would be honored to serve and represent the children, families, and staff of USD 475. Thank you.
LaDonna.
Thank you for being here tonight. I am for a new facility as I believe it affirms our commitment to our youth and to the military, that we want them to remain here and attract future brigades, and also to bring new industry to our community. When a family relocates, one of the first questions they say or ask is, tell me about your educational facilities and your educational system. So I feel like it's very important. I've been honored to serve you the last 4 years on the Board of Education. I would look forward to serving you 2 more years and ask for your vote. My goal as a member of the Board of Education is to collaborate with people of diversified backgrounds with personal and professional expertise. And that goes with not only the board, but the open communications with everyone in the community and in our school district. Together, we will develop policies and procedures focusing on the most effective learning paths for our youth. Thank you.
William.
Oh, yes. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the forum tonight. I would also ask for your vote on November the 7th. And some of my goals, I would say that transparent is one that I said earlier tonight. I came to be on the board to be transparent, to ensure that everyone understands what the board is doing for the public, and that's what you all vote for us to do. And I'm also saying that I want to see the learning for our kids get better. And that's why I volunteered to come on the board, to make sure that every decision that is being made behind the scenes that you all don't get to see is that we're doing the right thing for your kids. My kids, I don't have kids in the school, but my heart is here. I'm living in Junction City, my home is here, and I think this community can be the best community that it can be, and that's why I'm serving on the board. So vote for me on November 7th.
Okay, once again, for the 4-year term, William Brooks, Rena Neal, Sarah Talley, David Walker, and Lawrence Young will be your candidates for the 4-year term. LaDonna Young-Hans and Stephanie Holloway will be the candidates for the 2-year term when you vote on November the 7th. Let's give our candidates a big round of applause for coming out this evening. Also want to thank Steve Seitz and Danny O'Brien from C.L. Hoover Opera House for helping us this evening. Eagle TV from Abilene coming out and getting this all on video. You'll be able to see this on JC Post in the days to come if you'd like to come back and review some of the answers that you got from the candidates here this evening. And the most important thing is that you get out and vote on Tuesday, November the 7th. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.